Will the Committee of Supply please come to order? This section of the Committee of Supply will now consider the estimates of the Department of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation. Does the Honorable Minister have an opening statement?
Yes.
Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to be here on behalf of my department as the Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation to discuss Budget 2025, which sets us on an exciting path to build one Manitoba together. We want Manitoba to be a province where everyone can build a good life with an affordable cost of living and good-paying jobs driven by a strong, diversified economy. To support these priorities, this budget makes investments that will drive economic growth and northern investment, grow our mining sector, and build a diverse and inclusive workforce. Manitoba's greatest threat right now is the economic uncertainty and risk resulting from the trade tariffs imposed by the United States, our largest trading partner, as well as from China. We are working to protect Manitoba's economy and have already implemented significant measures in response to these tariffs. Budget 2025 takes significant steps to make Manitoba's economy more resilient and diversify our trading partners and export markets. This includes supporting our local business community through the Support Manitoba Buy Local campaign to encourage more Manitoba consumers to buy Manitoba products from Manitoba businesses and help ensure that more of their money stays within our Manitoba economy. We leveraged our relationships with our economic development partners and sector councils to effectively promote the Export Support Program. In 2024-25, 48 companies were approved for funding to attend 82 national and international events, trade shows, and missions to form valuable partnerships. As a result, these Manitoba companies were able to expand the export of their products and services into new and more diversified markets. Our government continues to reduce our province's reliance on the U.S. as our main export market by strengthening our internal economy, as well as cultivating and expanding additional markets for our province's exports. To support this work, we have invested up to $1.5 million in grant funding to Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, CME, to develop supports and programming for Manitoba manufacturers that may be impacted by U.S. tariffs. This Made in Manitoba Tariff Response Program will include business and workforce training on tariffs and market diversification, a summit to promote business-to-business connections, and financial support for tariff planning consultation. We are dismantling barriers within our domestic economy. Manitoba is a leader in Canada on internal trade, and we will continue to lead. Manitoba is the only province that allows direct-to-consumer sales on all alcohol beverages. We will also continue to work closely with our federal, provincial, and territorial counterparts to further reduce barriers and expand interprovincial trade. This includes initiatives such as working towards mutual recognition agreements for trucking and consumer goods, Canada-wide credential recognition of labor mobility, and rapid reviewing exceptions under the Canadian Free Trade Agreement to create a more open domestic market. Manitoba will also be opening an office in Washington, D.C. to build and strengthen our relations to advise Manitoba's interests with the U.S. administration and other D.C.-based partners. At the same time, Manitoba will actively pursue opportunities in global markets and participate in trade shows to showcase our Manitoba advantage. Manitoba's position as a central trade corridor has never been more important. That's why we have dedicated $36.4 million over 2 years to the Arctic Gateway Group for capital infrastructure projects at the Port of Churchill that will strengthen our central trade corridor, expand international trade, create good jobs for northern Manitobans, and protect northern sovereignty. In the face of economic uncertainty driven by tariffs, it's especially important for Manitoba to have a plan to develop our economy in a way that takes our future into our own hands. Our new economic development strategy will help us build Manitoba for the future. Our consultations on this draft strategy have begun. We are listening to Manitobans, businesses, labor leaders, Indigenous communities, and municipalities across the province to ensure our strategy will help improve quality of life for all Manitobans with concrete actions that will lead to higher wages and grow real income per capita. The survey on Engage and Be is open now, and I encourage everyone to provide your input. The Manitoba Strategic Innovation Fund supports Manitoba's economic development strategy by attracting investment that will transform our economy through increased productivity, job creation, and sustainable growth. Budget 2025 continues the fund with another $50 million to invest. Strategic investments from this fund, like the $13 million investment in the development of Global Agricultural Technology Exchange, or GATE, in downtown Winnipeg, are protecting Manitoba jobs, driving innovation, and bringing more investment to Manitoba. Now more than ever, we must work together to drive Manitoba's economic growth and diversification through enhanced trade partnerships, increased investments, improved productivity, and responsible mineral development. Manitoba is a leader in responsible mineral development and is home to critical minerals of global interest. Last year, we released our Securing Our Critical Mineral Future strategy, which will help us unlock our full mining potential. Working closely with Indigenous nations and industry, we will deliver the critical minerals the world needs, create more good-paying jobs, and bring new investments and opportunities to northern Manitoba communities. We are partnering with the Mining Association of Manitoba to develop and deliver an internationally focused critical mineral marketing campaign to attract foreign investments to the province and diversify export markets. This $1.5 million investment will help reduce the long-term effects of tariffs on Manitoba's critical mineral sector and increase investments from international markets. Continued growth and investment requires a competitive, inviting business environment that makes it easy to do business in our great province. To attract investment and advance Manitoba's mining sector, we created a single-window critical mineral office to provide mining businesses with customized service to streamline processes and speed up projects development while respecting the environment. We were proud to announce the new mine construction phase within 18 months of taking office. In March, the Alamos Gold began shovels in the ground in Lynn Lake, Manitoba. The gold project will be the first new mine open in Manitoba in over 15 years. Our government is ready to work with industry and Indigenous communities to realize a range of mining and mineral opportunities that are critical for the clean energy economy of the future. To provide guidance and inform this work, we have established a mining advisory council with representation from government, Indigenous organizations, environmental groups, academia, municipalities, and labor, with key objective of advancing Indigenous inclusion and mineral sector partnerships. Manitoba's economy is resilient, and its growth is only possible because of its talented workforce. And as our workforce and workplaces evolve and global trade policies are uncertain, our government is committed to building the skilled, inclusive, and adaptive workforce we need for the future. And to do this future-proofing, our training and skills infrastructure is modernizing our apprenticeship and certification system and aligning our workforce development programs to labor market needs. This budget 2025 provides $400,000 to help equip Manitoba's technical training institutions with more modern tools, equipment, materials, and ensuring apprentices receive industry-relevant training that meets today's workforce demands. I'm so excited about this and many more initiatives our department are taking on this year. And to all those watching, today's May 12th, Happy Manitoba Day.
Thank you, Minister, for your comments. Does the critic from official opposition have an opening statement? Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, how would you like to be Chair? Just Chair?
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chair? Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair, for recognizing me. I'd like to thank the Minister, too, for his opening comments. My opening comments are very brief because we have a lot to talk about today. I'm looking forward to our discussion, of course. Economic development is, of course, one of the leading departments when it comes to the future of Manitoba. We know that without an eye on economic development and continued growth, that we as Manitobans will not be able to continue to enjoy the services we count on each and every day, like education, healthcare, and social services. So this is a very important file for us, and I know it's important for the Minister and his staff. So I look forward to discussing more as we continue to talk about some of the areas that were started under the previous government and continued on, which we're happy to see, and some areas that we would like to see move forward to ensure that certainly Manitobans and Manitoba families can continue to get through these very, very unprecedented difficult times. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Under Manitoba practice, debate on minister's salary is the last item considered for a department in the Committee of Supply. Accordingly, we shall now defer consideration of line item 10.1 bracket A contained in Resolution 10.1. At this time, we invite the minister's staff to join us at the table, and we ask that the minister introduce the staff in attendance. Minister for Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It's my pleasure to introduce the staff who will be with me today. And take the moment to also thank the staff for the tremendous amount of work that they do to prepare, not only for this committee, but also for preparing the budget as a whole and the commitment to delivering on the budget and its impactfulness that it'll have for all Manitobans. Not just this year, but in many years to come. So it's my pleasure to introduce Deputy Minister Michael Jack, Assistant Deputy Minister, Finance and Administration, Melissa Ballantyne, Assistant Deputy Minister, Workforce Development and Training, Michelle Wallace, Assistant Deputy Minister, Investment Trade, Janice Schott, Assistant Deputy Minister, Minerals, Petroleum and Geoscience, Jeff Kranick.
Thank you, Minister. According to our Rule 78, bracket 16, during the consideration of departmental estimates, questioning for each department shall proceed in a global manner, with questions put separately on all resolutions once the official opposition critic indicates that questioning has concluded. The floor is now open for questions. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, and I too would like to thank and publicly appreciate the hard work of the department led by the Deputy Minister as well. I know for the one bill that the Minister has introduced, the Deputy Minister and his team were quite helpful in ensuring the information that we were looking for was answered, and I appreciate the correspondence that was sent back to my office, and it was certainly helpful with respect to that particular bill. So I thank you all for that. And again, it's been a pleasure it's a pleasure to see you again, and I hope that we can have a great discussion today led by your minister. A quick question for the minister. Can he refer to chart, the organizational chart on 19? The introductions were made. Just want to confirm that this chart is still as is, dated April 1st, 2025.
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Minister for Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Honorable Chair, thank you. To member opposite, I really appreciate the sincerity of what your gratitude for the staff. I share those comments, and I think it's very, it's very important for us to recognize the diligence that it takes a lot of work. I mean, you're very well aware, going from transition of government is always a challenge on everyone, on politicians, but also on civil servants. And so it's important that we have that continuity of excellence, continuity of experience, to not only move files forward, but to really be able to deliver on those types of vision and the type of direction that you want to take in terms of being able to move things forward. And then certainly on this file, priorities around economic growth, economic development, investment growth, improving our landscape in the critical mineral file, as well as our workforce development, are significant challenges. And it's the work that we are dedicated to each and every day. And as well, it's the work that I think our team is really passionate about. And I think that's one thing you'd probably agree that I've experienced as well, that our team has a high degree of passion for this work, and I think they do a tremendous job. As referred to page 19, organizational structure, as the member opposite alluded to here. Yes, the organizational structure and chart is accurate there, and I outlined the same assistant deputy ministers and deputy minister as I introduced. So the organizational chart on page 19 is accurate.
Thank you, Minister. For the information of all the members, I would gently request everybody to address the questions and answers through the chair, please. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank the Minister for confirming that. And again, just to finish up on that, your OREs or other operating entities are Economic Development Winnipeg, Manitoba Development Corporation, and Rural Manitoba Economic Development Corporation. Also, your other organizations accountable to the Minister: Apprenticeship and Certification Appeal Board, Apprenticeship and Certification Board, Mining Board, and Surface Rights Board, that are also indicated on page 19.
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Minister for Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
So thank you for the question. The other reporting entities there that are listed on page 19 are accurate. Economic Development Winnipeg, Manitoba Development Corporation, Rural Manitoba Economic Development Corporation, and other organizations accountable to the Minister: the Apprenticeship and Certification Appeal Board, Apprenticeship and Certification Board, Mining Board, and Surface Rights Boards are all still accurate there, and as they are listed on page 19.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And some folks watching today may find that opening up on the numbers can be a little boring, but obviously it makes sense to go over the numbers and what makes this department tick. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on actual numbers on the estimates of expenditures for 25-26, starting with Part A operating. Essentially, there's a couple of areas here that I have a question on. Number one, administration and finance. Right now, we're looking at $6,009,000, I believe that reads. It's up approximately $700,000. Are these funded FTEs, or is this an increase in overall staff? I guess I'm looking for an answer to that.
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Honorable Speaker, I thank the member opposite for the question. It's important, obviously, as the member opposite highlights the work of staff and to understand the work that's going to be going on this coming year by the department. Obviously, each role within the 4 sections that are detailed here have a very important function, whether it is both the administration of finance, which plays a key important role to make sure that we are meeting and living up to our financial obligations with respect to what our amounts are appropriated to us through the Treasury, and making sure that we fall within those respective responsibilities. Or whether it is our investment and trade branch, which has the responsibility to, of course, work with a lot of partners and drive investment and growth. Do a lot of that foreign direct investment work and business expansion through trade. And you can see there, those 2 specifically that I've mentioned, that there is the same number of FTEs, as well as in our workforce development training, with a consistent number of FTEs over year. And obviously that team does a lot of the work about building up people's skills for the job market, for the labor market, and holding regional offices, doing the significant work to ensure that Manitobans have the skills to meet the jobs of the future. And whether that is helping, a person through a young person find out what type of careers are available in Manitoba, whether it is helping a person navigate the sometimes tricky world of applying for and trying to get a job that meets their needs and meets their skill set, or whether it is helping to make sure that we have the right number of skilled trade workers through our apprenticeship program. The workforce development and training team does a tremendous job, and the FTEs are consistent year over year. And furthermore, our minerals, petroleum, geoscience team as well ensures that we have a robust, not only inspection team, but that business unit, a critical mineral office that is working to deliver and dive into projects in a meaningful way with the industry, make sure that those projects have the ability to get off the ground, and make sure that government is supporting as appropriate. And also to make sure that we are doing our best to ensure that we are working both with in highest respect to environmental standards and to First Nations. And so to answer the member opposite's question, Honorable Chair, yes, the FTEs listed there are funded. This increase to the dollar are part of normal changes in salary increases year over year. There's no change in the staffing complement year over year, but it's a change to salaries as part of the normal salary increases, which happen from one fiscal year to the next.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, and I thank the Minister for that clarity. I do have another area here, though, to that line where the Minister had commented that there weren't any changes in the FTE complement. Would that not be a reduction of 4.5 FTEs under the minerals, petroleum, and geoscience line? Am I reading that wrong?
Thank you, Member for Red River North.
Page 37. Yes.
Minister for Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I want to just maybe seek a bit of clarity there, as I think I don't have I think maybe the member opposite doesn't have the same line of sight on the information that I have there, because there's very clearly no change to staffing, no reduction, as the member opposite suggested. On page 37, as he mentioned, which states the departmental programming and financing operations, Part A expenditures, has a total FTE count of 57 in 24-25 and 57 for 25-26. So there's very clearly no change there on page 37 to our FTEs year over year. As I mentioned, it's status quo, no decrease at all. The member also mentioned mineral, petroleum, and geoscience, which I want to just clarify. I see here on page 45. And on page 45, we see in that area here a staff complement of 102 in 24-25 and the same 102 in 25-26. So there's no reduction in terms of the number of FTEs on either 37, as the member opposite mentioned, or to minerals, petroleum, and geoscience, as the member opposite mentioned. So just to clarify the record, there has not been a reduction in staff there. Maybe the member wants to redirect the question into another area, but just to be very clear, there's not a reduction in any staffing there. It's very clear that we want to prioritize some of these areas, continue to do the really good work of ensuring we have not only the ability to effectively run and our department with meeting the obligations of finance and of our appropriation as given to our department, but also to deliver the mandate of our minerals, petroleum, and geoscience branch. They do significant work. You can highlight the 4 areas that are mentioned within that branch, which is first the Manitoba Geological Survey. And they do the work which is very clearly to do that really important geological work, whether that is going out into the field and surveying land sets and understanding what the geology looks like in Manitoba. By the way, Manitoba has some of the richest geology in anywhere in the country, with a variety of significant deposits. And it's the geological survey team that has the geologists on the ground that can pull that data, track that data, and then store it through their extensive core library that helps to collect and maintain and keep those records available. The reason that those records are so important is because it helps to speed up some of those, that next discovery. By keeping that long library of core samples available for government and for industry and public use, it ensures that the company or next explorer or prospector who wants to do work can review our core library, understand the samples that are there and the geological deposits that you might find in a variety of areas across Manitoba, whether you're talking about the Westman or eastern part of the region of Manitoba, where you might find lithium or cesium deposits, understanding what are the potential for potash in the Westman region, or even a lithium brine of some sort, or understanding what that nickel belt looks like up in Thompson, and the continued significant potential it has for economic growth and for job creation in northern Manitoba. That's one area there, and you can see it very clearly there that we continue to maintain a strong workforce there, and as it is a priority area for our government, as well as mining, oil, and gas, which has obviously a significant ability to grow in our area as we work with oil producers in Manitoba, in the Westman region, but also to ensure that they do the proper inspections of oil gas pipelines across the province. And that work of doing those inspections has, I think, been certainly fortified under our government, and it's the work that we want to continue to do, to not only ensure that we work productively and effectively with business and industry, but on the oil and gas side, that Manitobans can rest assured that they have a government that is going to ensure they have strong public safety and strong accountability when it comes to our oil and gas sector. So I'll leave it there, but very clearly outline some of the points there with very strong workforce on those areas. And if the member opposite has another question regarding that, I'd welcome that.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair, and I thank the Minister for that clarity. Working off two books, working off the supplementary book 2526, and I'm working off the Building One Manitoba Estimates of Expenditures. So the book I'm quoting from is the Building One Manitoba book, which under Part A operating clearly tells me, and maybe you can explain it to Manitobans and myself, because I'm understanding, though, that it looks like there's a reduction. But what you're saying, if I go over to supplementing to the estimates expenditures budget, that breaks it down further. Is that what you're saying?
Thank you, member for Red River North. A gentle reminder again to put the questions and answers through the chair, please. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So I want to address the member opposite's question to clarify it for him. If I refer to the book that he's referring to as well, the Building One Manitoba, and if I look at page 37, which I'm assuming that's what he's looking at, I didn't get a page number in his last question, just to be sure, but that's one I'm looking at for my response here. So I am looking at that section under Part A operating, and number 4, where he's referring to mineral, petroleum, and geoscience. Okay. So under this section, to be clear, this is a section on appropriations, this whole page, which is not a staffing page. This page talks about the appropriation amount, not staffing. So to be very clear, there's no change in staffing amount in any of the areas, including no change in staffing in minerals, petroleum, and geoscience. This section is very clearly on around the appropriation, which is very much for those Manitobans who are looking at home and trying to understand the term appropriation. This is very much the budget, the amount of budget we have in this section of our department to spend on that respective area. And so the change that the member opposite is referring to is very much driven from our petroleum team, which has the same level of staffing as it had in the past, but is actually working very, very efficiently. And it's from specifically our petroleum area that does our petroleum inspections. And I think as of last year, if the member opposite can recall, around the issue we had with the Imperial Oil pipeline that went when Oton was not operating for a few months last year. We then took a few steps to really reassess how we can be doing that area of work a lot stronger as a government. And so we worked very closely with the Assistant Deputy Minister responsible and other folks to dive in a bit about how we can do that in a stronger way, and a more meaningful way. I think that would not only improve our government services, improve quality of service to industry, ensure enhanced environmental safety and protection, and bring that reliability that Manitobans are looking for when it comes to oil and gas products. And so one of the initiatives that we did is to make sure that we have now, for the first time, I would say, a real concrete and strong process for ensuring that we have the documentation, written documentation on inspections of oil pipelines by that inspection team. Not only are they doing that, but in fact, we've fully staffed that area, which I would also flag had some vacancies under the previous government. And so by not only filling in some of those vacancies and not only doing it in a more robust way, what we're actually able to do now is do it more efficiently. And so that means an inspector going out and driving out and inspecting 2 or 3 different spots or different pipelines at one time, instead of doing one and driving back to the office and doing another one and driving back. Now we're able to go out and do multiple inspections at one time. That's led to a significant efficiency mark on the way we are operating as a government, and that is why you're seeing that change there from the amount that it requires us to appropriate to that line of work, while not only delivering the same, but I would say very clearly better results in terms of our enhanced and robust documentation for those inspections, but also the fact that we've got it fully staffed up and the team is able to do really meaningful work. So I would argue to the member that where he's mentioning in page 37 of our Building One Manitoba budget, it is very clearly no change in staffing, and in fact, we filled vacancies that were left vacant under the former government. Not only we have a team that is delivering more robust and meaningful work in terms of the reports they're doing for pipeline inspections, but also they're doing it very efficiently. And so that's why we're seeing that change there that the member is pointing to, and I'm very happy and proud of the work that that team is doing.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I thank the Minister and the Deputy Minister for that clarity on percentage. So 15.4%, the Minister is saying they become more efficient by reducing I guess, the complement of resources to minerals and petroleum geoscience by 4.5%. Hence, the total amount I guess, increased in this particular line item, and we're going to move off it right away, but the Minister put on the record that they're being more efficient and better, yet it's costing another 15.4% to run this particular area in Part A. So with that, I'll move on to my next question, and the next question is for the Minister. Could he provide me with how many political staff are currently working in his office?
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So I'm going to get to the member opposite's question around political staff. I do want to just touch back on his earlier comment because I found it a bit, I just wanted to touch on the point. It seemed like he was perhaps upset or perturbed somehow around government efficiencies. We're a government that cares very much about delivering on our mandates to Manitobans in the most efficient way. I mean, I go around and talk to business communities and business leaders all the time who, are very much concerned around how we can run the most effective government as possible. And we're trying to deliver on that commitment every day. So part of that is making sure that we have programs, policies, legislation that meets their needs, that meets Manitobans' needs. And that goes from every department, whether you're talking about improving our healthcare system after many years of cuts and chaos, whether that's improving affordability for Manitobans, whether that is making sure that we have an education system that gives young people the tools they need to succeed, or whether it is making sure that we have an economic development plan and strategy that is the most effective. And in every one of those areas, we're looking for some of the most effective and efficient ways to operate that ensure that we're going to be responsible with that public purse. And so this is what we're doing. And find it a bit strange, a bit funny, that maybe the member opposite was trying to tell Manitobans that we shouldn't be running an efficient government. I don't think that's the path forward. That's what we're trying to do. And so maybe the member opposite wants to clarify his comments there, because it sure seemed like perhaps he was suggesting against trying to run an efficient government. But maybe I'll let his comments stand on their own, and maybe he wants to clarify, or maybe he doesn't. But, Honorable Chair, with respect to the question around political staff, I'll let the member opposite know that we have 3 political staff in our department.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Can the Minister provide us what the title of the 3 political staff, they have separate titles, I would assume, and their duties as well, please?
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I appreciate the question around political staff from members opposite. I think it's important that we work as transparently as possible. And that's why I think it's very important for Manitobans to know that all political appointees and the 3 staff that I mentioned are appointed through OICs, or Orders in Council, which means that they had their names and titles published publicly as the order in council was released. And so the information that member opposite is asking for has already been released publicly, available to his and to all Manitobans' disposal if they choose to find that information out. And I'm very happy with the team that we have and are working with as political staff. We've got a director of ministerial affairs who is really, using a metaphor for Manitobans, the kind of the quarterback here. Plays a real lead role in being able to deliver not only on the functions and priorities of government and mandates given by Premier to each department, but also in a day-to-day role of making sure that we continue on with the important casework of responding to and staying on top of working with Manitoba businesses, working with people who are job seekers, working with folks in the mineral, oil, and gas sector. And that's really that quarterback steering director role, really high level role that Director of Ministerial Affairs takes. We also have an executive assistant to the minister who takes on that very much a day-to-day role, a role of making sure there's support there for meetings and day-to-day events and the ongoing question period and these sort of day-to-day issues, which are very important to the lifeblood of any political politician and minister, in being able to ensure that the day-to-day operating and functions and activities continues in a smooth way, and that we have that strong connection with the activities that go on in and out each and every day. And our team also has an assistant issues manager, who is really working behind the scenes to evaluate and assess some of the important issues that might be coming up, whether it is upcoming issues in our economic development system, whether these are things that are coming up in the maybe broader political landscape or global landscape, federal issues or issues that are happening at very much even on a local level. The issue manager also makes sure that we have the day-to-day updates and briefings with things that are very relevant for us. And so we make sure that we work cohesively as a team, the political staff, led by the Director of Ministerial Affairs. And I'll certainly say that it's a strong team, and that I'll take this opportunity as the member opposite has provided the space to speak about this, to personally thank the political staff we have on team, and very proud of the staff I have on my team, but also the political staff right across government. You do invaluable work, ensuring that Manitobans' lives are better each and every day, and I want to thank you for it.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Just some clarity, I don't know if I missed it. I apologize if I did. Director of Ministerial Affairs, Executive Assistant, and was there a third one you had mentioned? I'm sorry, Minister, through the Chair.
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Minister for Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, I mentioned the third is through Issues Manager, and that's the role I was saying does a lot of behind-the-scenes work, make sure that we have those up-to-date, day-to-day briefing notes, keeps us aware of, whether it's federal issues, local, civil issues, municipal issues, global issues as well. Obviously, as the member can appreciate, there's been a lot going on down south and at the White House. And so navigating and understanding the impacts of some of those things is part of the role of some of our issue managers. And I know that they've done a good job in helping us better understand, navigate, be aware of the latest up-to-date changes and seeing what it means for us here in Manitoba. And so that role is one that really helps us do that behind-the-scenes work, preparing us and making sure that we have the information we need to deal with things as they come on a day-to-day basis, and making sure that, as I mentioned, this team does a lot of good work working together, and want to continue to show that appreciation for all those political staff people.
Thank
you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thanks, Honorable Chair, and certainly would also like to extend my thank you to all political staff, including my staff that is here today as well, joining us as well. We know that they do great work and working as a team in sometimes a very tough environment. So I too extend my thank you to the staff. Let's switch gears a little bit now, and I'd like to ask the Minister, if I may, through you, Mr. Chair, can the Minister provide us an example of how he's expanding opportunities in the global marketplace, as he mentioned in his opening comments?
Thank you, Member Red River North. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So I think it's an important question around expanding the opportunities for global marketplaces, and then it's particularly important in terms of the landscape of economic uncertainty with our largest trading partner, the United States of America, and in even more uncertainty with China and the tariffs that they're imposing on our agricultural sector. And so we've taken significant steps to ensure that we are meeting the moment in terms of this uncertainty by ensuring that we provide the right tools and some supports for businesses who are looking to diversify and expand into new markets with global trade. And so I'll highlight a few programs and initiatives that we're doing. And so the first one I'll highlight is through the Export Support Program. And that's gives the companies, Manitoba companies, the ability to go and receive support from the Manitoba government and use that support to go and go to a trade show in an international market, visit international events, and go on missions. And these are the sort of resources that allow businesses to create new connections and new markets for their products and services. And we're very excited about the program. In 24-25, we were able to support 48 companies that were provided and approved for funding through this program. They attended 82 national and international events, trade shows, and trade missions. That really was helping them to form those valuable partnerships. And these companies here in Manitoba companies were able to expand their exports of their products into new markets and more diversified markets, which I assume is at the heart of the member opposite's question. So that's a significant program. We rolled that out and actually went back, as that program is as an existing program. We went back in the landscape of the latest tariff threat and uncertainty, and went with another round of funding so that more Manitoba companies and businesses could improve themselves and advance their businesses and grow in the new diversified global markets in the face of this uncertainty. So we did even more this year in face of those challenges. A couple other programs I want to highlight for member opposite is our funding for Canadian manufacturers and exporters of $1.5 million, and that's specifically to deal with some of the tariff uncertainty. So that funding is working in collaboration with CME to develop that Made in Manitoba program to work with manufacturers who export and give them the tools they need to find new and diversified markets. It's going to help them mitigate some of the impacts of tariffs by working directly to find out how they figure out that becoming CUSMA compliant, getting their products to the United States, but also to help them be able to strengthen the supply chains right here in Manitoba, so they're less reliant on the U.S. supply chain, but also to find brand new markets around the world. So that Made in Manitoba approach is we're working in collaboration with CME on that at $1.5 million, as well as through our critical mineral marketing, working in conjunction and partnership with MAMI, the Manitoba Association, Mining Association of Manitoba. And so that funding is really to help develop and put Manitoba on the global map when it comes to critical minerals. As I mentioned earlier, we have a wealth of critical minerals here and fantastic geology, which I think is something that is even underexplored and has an opportunity to be a big part of our future economic growth in Manitoba. And so to help market that, we're putting some of those dollars, supports and working in partnership with MAMI to make sure that folks right across the world know about the opportunities to develop critical minerals, get products out of the ground, do so in a way that is respectful of First Nation and environmental concerns, but also make sure that we're going to meet the needs of a growing economy, one that is more reliant on technology, on critical minerals, on rare earth elements, and other really innovative technologies. And we can be part of that solution here. We can be part of that future that relies more on critical minerals and ones and critical minerals that are developed here in Manitoba, that puts more good jobs here, but also respects our strong environmental standards and business standards.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank the Minister for his comments as well. I guess just expanding on that a little bit, what countries has the Minister visited or been in contact with respect to foreign investment, or, again, the most important thing is ensuring that Manitoba companies have the opportunity to expand in markets other than to the south. We know that global tensions are high when it comes to tariffs right now, so it's important for Manitoba companies to have a path forward. So if the Minister could provide Manitobans today with those countries that he or the Department have visited with, to ensure that Manitobans understand what path the Minister and the government is taking. And then we'll talk a little bit more about investment as far as helping companies move forward.
Thank you, Member for Red River North. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So we have done fairly significant amount of work, I would say, in terms of reaching out to global markets. And I'll also say that this is some of the work that we're doing within our department, although there continues to be ongoing work done by a lot of our partners, like Economic Development Winnipeg, ARMED, and others, and that won't directly speak to, but I'll just provide some context around some of the things that we're doing directly out of our team here in business, mining, trade, and job creation. So first I'll highlight, as member opposite would know, and we've talked about before, is our trade mission to Washington, D.C. last year, which was a very good relationship building event, which I think is already showing some fruits of its labor. We also participated in a federal trade mission to South Korea, where we made good networks with the business industry there, and also had some continued meetings with folks in Japan. Our team was there as well to strengthen those Asian markets. Our team was also in Germany, in Hanover, Germany, at a large, in fact, one of the largest conferences, Hanover Messe. It's an advanced manufacturing convention, and there was a significant presence there, and I think it was very, very well received, not only our presence there, but the impact that it had being there. The BIO, which is the International Biosciences, Life Sciences Conference, took place in San Diego, USA, California. So we had a presence there as well last year. That's the largest bio and life sciences conference in the world, and so it was a really important ability for us to not only get more global access to companies interested in investing and growing here in Manitoba, but also to reiterate Manitoba's position as one of the largest manufacturers of pharmaceuticals in the country, and one of actually I believe our largest export by volume in Manitoba. So it's a very important sector. We're happy to continue to have that presence there. Also took part in some aerospace, Manitoba being the third largest aerospace sector in the country. Participated in the Farnborough Air Show in UK. And as well as, it's important to also note that we had really, really strong presence and meetings with many of our international partners, from the ambassadors and high commissioners who we met with over the course of the past year. And so some of those countries that we've had really terrific meetings with and continue to develop, have actually had some follow-up meetings already on as a result of some of these, include ambassadors from Austria, Belgium, Croatia, Cyprus, ambassador of Estonia, Finland, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, the Netherlands, Portugal, ambassadors from Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden. We also meet with Czech Republic, and we actually have meetings upcoming in the next coming days with more international ambassadors and partners to really expand our global presence as a province. And I think part of that relationship building it goes to that saying, you've got to relate before you can negotiate. And so we're very much having extremely productive conversations and being able to tell that Manitoba story around our advantages. You know, in this era, in this time period of global uncertainty, knowing that Canada is a trusted partner, knowing that we have rules-based society, and that we want to work and build partnerships is refreshing to a lot of international partners. And that's a story we're really proud to tell about being at the center of the continent and a transportation hub, having vast geological formations with critical minerals, having access to tidewater through Hudson's Bay and the Port of Churchill, having strong manufacturing presence, and a really talented and well-educated and well-skilled workforce. We're all such a great story to tell. We're happy to tell that with partners around the world, because we know that's part of our recipe for growing businesses right here at home.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And just one follow-up before I turn it over to an independent colleague that's at the table that has a couple of questions. A follow-up to the Minister's comments. I also, too, had the opportunity to attend the Bioscience Conference in Boston Massachusetts, and I will echo the comments that it's one of the biggest in the country or in the world, and it's actually Manitoba is already on the world stage, and the word escaped me, but it came back to me because we have the largest support of medicaments, which was a buzzword we used around the department quite often. So glad to see that that's continuing. I just want to know one other quick answer here. It's going to be challenging to be quick, but the minister had mentioned that we're already, and I quote, bearing fruits of our labor. When the minister put on a number of countries and jurisdictions on the record in his last answer, can he highlight one fruit of his labor that we've been able to look at to build our economy and partner with other nations?
Thank you, member for Red River North. Minister for Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair. And so I, appreciate the members' request for brevity in my response here, so I'll deliver on that. But I will also just say, maybe also mentioned UK as another ambassador relationship we had met with. There's also a few others that I think, we've had so many meetings. But I'll say this in very specific terms, that there are certainly many fruits of these labors. And when we have one of them that we are ready to announce, I'm sure the member opposite will be the first to know.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and I'd like to thank both the Minister, of course, for being here and answering so many of our questions this afternoon, as well as my colleague from Red River North for allowing me some time this afternoon to ask some questions to the department. These questions actually come from organizations who I've had the opportunity to meet with and discuss what to bring forward today here in estimates. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, go through them, and hopefully get some answers relatively quickly as well, see how many we can get through. The first question is, given the growing demand for critical minerals, can the minister speak to Manitoba's current strategy and how it plans to balance increased extraction with environmental and community concerns?
Thank you, member for Tyndall Park. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
I thank Member Opposite for the question. It's really important, right? Like, we've got a lot of critical minerals here in Manitoba. 30 out of 34 listed on the federal government's critical mineral list here in Manitoba. And so there's a lot of potential for developing those, and understanding how they might be developed in the future is really important. Our goal is to develop them in a way that is not only respectful of First Nation, Métis communities and nations in our province, but one that also has the strongest environmental standards and builds community at the same time. And I mean build community by having buy-in of communities, but also providing good jobs for First Nation and northern rural communities as well. And our strategy that we launched last fall, has the pillars around, developing those critical mineral projects faster. That means working within our department to speed up our own permitting times and having the ability to work through projects in the most effective way, giving the most clarity to industry so that they understand where they need to go to get their project to the next stage. Also working with building stronger supply chains. So that is, those first mile projects, transportation, how do we get those goods to market? But also, how do we make sure that there are more avenues for us to add value to our critical minerals before they leave Manitoba? I would point to things like Port of Churchill. We've, last year, critical minerals went out of the Port of Churchill, and we're going to do more of that this year. It's going to be a significant win for driving our economic growth here through supporting critical minerals here in the province. The third pillar is making sure that we really double down on our commitment to working with First Nations, with the Métis, Indigenous partnerships, and building that reconciliation into projects from the ground up. My conversations with First Nations on this file have been obviously very important and very central to our focus. By doing so in a way that involves and encourages meaningful engagement and consultation, not just with us as government, because that is central to our focus, but encouraging industry to have those conversations and engagement with companies at the earliest stage possible, helps First Nations and Métis and communities get more engaged early on in the process and make sure that they're supportive and understanding how these projects have the potential to benefit their communities. Obviously, focus on northern jobs, very important, as we did with, you saw firsthand us talk about the Lynn Lake mine opening up. Huge amount of construction jobs in that region, and 450 ongoing jobs for a lifespan of a mine that's going on 30 years is significant for a rural and northern community, and that strong environmental focus. So, to make my answer short, and I know the member opposite wants to to get a few other questions in. So I just want to highlight one in particular way we're really balancing it out, and that is our Mining Advisory Council. And I think this really gives us and helps to give us as government really strong advice. The council has representation from government, from Indigenous organizations, and from environmental focused groups, from academia, that's like post-secondary institutions, municipalities, and labor as well. Their guidance and those conversations of bringing people together is really great, because not everyone has the same perspective, but we all share in that same goal of finding ways that critical minerals and mining operations can benefit us. And if we have that focus and we can bring together those people and had continued meaningful dialogue, that is a sort of bridge building that helps more projects get off the ground and make sure that they have a benefit for the entire province. So that Mining Advisory Council has already had its first meeting. We met a few months ago, and we'll continue to have a meeting. I think we'll have future meetings this calendar year and ongoing. And it's a really strong way to show that we are serious about partnership and working towards an inclusive critical mineral sector.
Thank you, Minister. Just a gentle reminder to all members to put the questions and answers through the chair. Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and I thank the Minister for his answer. I was hoping, Honorable Chairperson, that the Minister could outline what specific environmental safeguards are currently in place when it comes to mining, prospecting, and exploration, particularly in protected areas such as provincial parks or caribou habitat.
Thank you, Member for Tyndall Park. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Thank the member opposite for that really important question. Obviously, it's important to balance the concerns around impact to environment or to wildlife when it comes to any industrial development or opportunity. And so I take those concerns to heart. I've had a lot of good conversations with folks in Manitobans who've raised concerns around what they might be perceiving as impact to communities and to wildlife in particular, or to operations happening in parks. These are very important issues that we work in collaboration with, not only on a minister-to-minister level, so myself and, can I say ministers' last names here, or do I have to put your number? constituency. Thank you. Minister of Environment and Climate Change and I work very closely together when it comes to these files, as well as ministers from across the board. And I think that also extends very deeply to department staff, who with every project requires that work, that project to go through the hands of different departments, including wildlife, including heritage, including fisheries, and of course environment, who review these projects before they get permitted to move forward. The largest review around these before it goes to get a permitted review is the Environment Act license, and that's a significant step. And so some of the accommodations that might take place if there are any concerns around impact to caribou or to around Beaver Park. And I'll highlight one. I've met with folks who are very passionate about the boreal woodland caribou and the impact that they're very sensitive to disturbances and noise. And so for projects that even have a chance of impacting that, there's accommodations made and mitigations that come along with permit for those operations to go ahead. As an example, could be that operations can't go on during certain months of the year, right? During particularly sensitive time for caribou. It could be that there's a certain buffer around a known path or a known area that's sensitive to caribou, or it could be that you're taking special care to be aware of the surroundings and the operation. So these sort of accommodations are attached to the permit of operating for companies, and so our department, as much as we are working to ensure that companies have the ability to move projects forward, we do so with an approach that keeps a close eye to how do we make sure that environmental standards and the impact to wildlife is mitigated as much as possible. And I think that really goes to, just briefly, I'll tell you that it goes to our story that we can tell as Manitobans. When we try to market this around the world, right, we want to market this as the highest quality nickel or zinc or copper anywhere you can find in the world. In order to live up to that, it means us making sure that we have those really high standards in place.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'd like to ask the Minister what steps are taken to ensure transparency and community notification when mining claims or exploration permits are issued, especially in or near residential areas or recreational lands.
Order, please.
I couldn't hear you.
Could you please speak up? Thank you. Member for Tyndall Park.
I don't often get told to speak up louder. I will project. What steps are taken to ensure transparency and community notification when mining claims or exploration permits are issued, especially in or near residential areas or recreational lands?
Thank you, Member for Tyndall Park. Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
Honorable Chair, I appreciate the comment from member opposite, and it's important that we, do that notification and consultation with the appropriate groups. So we primarily focus our consultation with the relevant First Nations and Métis communities who are in the area of any operation. Includes drilling and other exploration at that stage. We also, if those operations are, in a park and there's, cottage community nearby in the proximity, we'll also notify the, cottage association, for example. That would be also something that happens. And I'll also flag that for quarries, when it comes with quarry operations, we also have the process now of notifying the RMs as well. And so these are just some of the ways that we send that notification and communication to communities across the province to ensure that they're aware of the operations. And I think that certainly our efforts are to be as, I would say, transparent as possible. And it also goes to how do we build more buy-in for these projects. And I think certainly we want more Manitobans to understand the details of these projects and make sure that they understand how they'll impact and support these projects moving forward. So that's some of the work that we do there on the notification piece, and I'll leave it like that and let the member ask another question.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Minister, for your answer. How is the province ensuring that communities closest to mining projects, particularly in northern and Indigenous areas, are benefiting directly through employment, training, and infrastructure investments?
Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
So, Honorable Chair, I'm glad I have a chance to respond to this because it's really important that as we do these development projects, that we're ensuring that Manitobans have as much benefit as possible. And some of that benefits, as these projects are oftentimes in northern communities, in primarily First Nation or Métis or Indigenous communities, it's important that we know that the benefits of some of that economic activity is going to really move the needle in terms of economic activity for those communities. So there's a number of things that we're doing to ensure that local communities, First Nations, Métis benefit from these projects. And so I'll point to a few of them. First, I'll point to some of the training that we're doing to support local communities to build up skills to take on some of the work that happens as a result of mining projects and mineral development and exploration projects. So two partners that we work with is the University College of the North, as well as our Northern Sector Council. I was up in Thompson earlier this year at the Linkages Conference and had a chance to connect with folks both from the Northern Sector Council and from UCN. And they talked about some of the partnerships that they're doing to develop and invest in skill development for particularly First Nation people who live on reserve or in the north to take advantage of those job opportunities. One of the programs I can think of very specifically was one to help First Nation people on reserve get the skills to do drilling activity. And it was a program that went over a few weeks where they came in and learned in class and got hands-on experience as well and gone through the process of what it's like to actually do drilling work. And after the program was done, I think just about every one of them got a job. If not, they were getting offers before they finished and completed the program because employers were excited about the opportunity of hiring a workforce that has an interest in it and has that connection to a local community. UCN does a similar work as well to develop the skilled workforce. We also work with other departments of government like transportation and infrastructure to ensure that as these projects are getting online, that we have the infrastructure needs, we're aware of those infrastructure needs. And so where there needs to be improvement to different roads or highways, we take that into consideration. I'm very happy to work collaboratively with my colleague, the Minister from Transportation and Infrastructure, to try to improve local infrastructure as it would assist both local community, First Nation, but also with industry to get those projects online faster and more effectively. We also encourage and are very strong in encouraging companies to work in collaboration and consultation, do that consultation work with First Nations. And that's where, to my earlier point, to the member opposite, was that we encourage early conversation with First Nations. Part of that is to encourage them to do the work to set up those sort of agreements and do that consultation so that hopefully there can be an exploration agreement or an IBA, an impact benefit agreement. And I think that's really significant. And one example, one very concrete and real and impactful example of this is the work we did in Lynn Lake with Marcel Colombe and the Alamos Gold Project. They have signed an impact benefit agreement with, that's meaning Marcel Colombe First Nation has signed an impact benefit agreement with Alamos Gold. That means that they're going to have impact and benefit economically from that project and share in some of its success. And so, that's something that we think is really, really critical and important to having a long-term success of these projects moving forward. And I know that's something that we're encouraging industry companies in all parts of Manitoba who are in the critical mineral space to do. The last one I want to highlight is around protocol agreements. And so these are the agreements around how we work in consultation with First Nations. I was up in Lac Brochet earlier to sign a protocol agreement with the First Nation there. And that's a really significant milestone about how we're going to relate and how we're going to do consultation work on critical mineral projects with them. I was up there with Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures as we signed that a few weeks ago. And it's one of those important steps that sets us on a pathway to ensure that local communities, First Nations, the Métis benefit from these projects moving forward, and it's the right approach for us as Manitobans.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Minerals also include valuable resources in stone, aggregates, and sands. Can the minister please share what the government fee is per ton for each product and speak to the fee increases over the past 20 years?
Thank you, Member for Tyndall Park. Minister for Business, Mining, Trade, and Job Creation.
I'd love the member opposite just to provide a little more clarity on the question. Is it, you wanted to understand the fee per ton on sand? and
Order, please.
Sorry.
Hour being 5 p.m., committee rise.